Can you tell us a little about your character in this movie?
Sure. So I play, my character's name is Swati. She sounds on its own a very, what's the word? I mean, it's a very Telugu sort of a very, okay, I'm finding it difficult to put it together, but it's very organic, you know, the name on its own. It's not this, I asked Anand, in fact, I asked him, I said, why did something strike you to write this name? So he said, no, actually, it just came to me. But it's very authentic in its own way. She sounds very girl next door already. So that's the character. She's a very independent girl, and she follows her heart at the end of the day. So whatever it does, whatever it takes to do that. And she's very spontaneous with what's happening to her in her life, and she's not afraid to take a stand, which is the more interesting part of her character. It's something that I've really admired. Like, if I met a woman who actually thought and did things and lived her life the way Swati does, I would be very inspired, because there's a softness to her, but then if you get into a darker shade, you know, it's so much more intense. And then you realize, okay, this woman is actually paying attention to everything that's happening around her. So in a nutshell, this is who I play.
How different is it from your real life character?
Not so different, actually. Not so different.
What are the
very scary? Oh, well, a lot of things. Like I said, you know, she is very soft-spoken. That for one. She responds not over the top. It's not like, ha, it's not like the best moments in her life are expressed with a smile. And that's where it is, you know, there's no crazy energy, you know, it's very contained. So that's one similarity, and the fact that she can bounce back in her worst of situations or in the weakest of situations is also something that I relate to, and I believe, you know, I kind of find that way even for myself outside the camera, which is why it was very interesting playing her.
Have you heard about this concept before the movie?
I've heard of this concept. My co-stars are very stunned when I say that I've heard about parallel lives. But yeah, it has been a part of our history since, you know, 1800, and there are established lives that have gone through this. Of course, it didn't occur to me as we do our daily life regimes. We don't think of parallel lives as a thing.
Yeah.
But when Anand narrated this story to me, it just made sense, and then it makes sense in a lot of other ways. You know, see, there are films that you write which kind of entertain you. That's one aspect. There are films that actually that share a message to you, you know, and you take back something of it. You take back a thought, or you're informed of something. I think this script comes in the latter, you know. So even though you may have heard of parallel lives, like, or for instance, some people may not even have heard of that concept, will now go back home rethinking of their lives, you know, and if I'm doing something and if there's actually another who's going through similar experiences, and when, is it before, is it after? So there will be that thought. People who watch this film, it might even become a joke, you know, within friends, which has already started. I think there are things that I do, and people, just because they know I'm a part of the film, they say, oh, parallel lives is happening. But it's a very beautiful eye-opener, I believe. Yeah.
So parallel lives, in the sense, do you think it's only about like incidents that happen in your life, or is it also like similar characters?
I think it could be similar characters, but at the end of the day, there will be some similarities between me and you, for example, but we are still two different people. How you think and how you would respond to every situation will alter to me. So parallel lives is mainly driven on the concept of similar events happening. You know, you could be a completely different person. It could match sometimes, but that could be coincidental. It's not to say that you're only going through parallel lives if two people are personality-wise the same. That may or may not be true, but it's mostly what I go through, a similar thing happening to you over a period of time, is what the study defines.
So you believe in this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And did you have experiences?
I've had experiences. I've had an experience where, I mean, I was growing up in school, and we were a bunch of strong girlfriends, and I remember one of my friends lost her father, so two of us went and kind of were there through, you know, her lowest moments. And exactly like a month later, I lost my father, and then that same friend comes to my house. And then exactly a month later, the third friend lost her father. So till it happened to me, I still didn't kind of think that, oh, okay, this happened to you as well. But when it was freaky when my third friend lost her dad too. At that point, three of us just sat down and we were like, wow, you know, did we foresee this? Because we were literally teenagers when we met. And we all also lost our dads around the same age group. Post 2018, 19 is when this happened. So there was a thought drawn to it by each one of us individually. We just looked at each other's faces this one day, and it occurred that, my God, this has happened, you know, in a row. And then of course we carry on, everyone carries on, but this is one very grave incident that I can think of.
So you've come to this realization way before this movie actually came.
Yeah, I did. But this movie made sense to me because now there's a word attached to it. You know, at that time, we just thought, oh, this has happened to the three of us. And few years later, as we've matured, like I said, it happened when we were really young. Now I've realized now it could actually be considered and defined as a study. So now we know the thesis behind it. It's not just a casual coincidence, you know.
How much do you believe in destiny?
A lot. But I do feel like in order to create your destiny, you need to work with yourself too. You know, things are not just going to happen. For them to happen, you need to believe in them. So I do believe in the law of attraction. What goes on your mind is the kind of work you will associate to, or how you are as a person are the kind of relationships you would form, and the bonds you would make. So it's a lot to do with a combination of both, you know, and then of course there's time, which is the third aspect. You know, this can be a constant relationship. Your relationship with yourself and with destiny will keep, it's like a way of living. But there will be that one day where suddenly both these things would connect so strong that it would just create into a beautiful opportunity, for example. These things can't be planned, you know, so it's important to just go with the flow and what you feel. Your instinct, I feel, has always been a very important thing that I've focused on through my growing up. Always believe in what you do. Don't do something if you're not, you know, if you feel strongly about it, whatever it might be.
So, since you're talking about destiny, what brought you to like Telugu movies and so many at once?
I think it was, I never imagined myself to be an actor. I was very happy making my, I'm also a singer, a trained Indian classical singer, so I always believed I would be a performer artist, because back in the day I was growing up watching Beyonce and Shakira cutting albums, and I said, this is it, that's my field. But through some experiences, a friend of mine got me introduced to the ad world. This one time she wasn't available to go and show her face, but there was a similarity with her hair, so she said, you know, please can you, now just look at the smallest things. It's just about hair, for example. Like she just said, Sirat, go have a look if you feel like. We have similar hair, so it might work out. Young little things we were. So I said, okay, cool, let me go try it out. And then I was introduced into this space in front of the camera, which I enjoyed, and I felt so connected to me. I didn't feel like I had to do something which was told to me or which was forced to me. I just felt so normal. So that feeling stayed and it kind of manifested, and that's how I took up acting. And while I'm doing my own thing, following my own thing, there is this casting director who I've never met, never spoken to, who's shown my pictures to a producer who happens to kind of like what he sees, so he flew me down. And that's when on the way, I remember, you know, in the flight I was studying about the team and what is their work, because I hadn't seen a single South film up until then. I had zero expectations of getting the film, not getting the film. For me it was about the experience. But then it just worked out, and I remember I just smiled and I was happy, and my manager was up bouncing up and down. She said, are you not excited? I said, I am excited, you know, but I mean, let's hope I can live up to this debut that I have. So my focus had already shifted to now what needs to be done. you know. So it just clicked, and everything happened within a month. Me taking a back seat from my choreography, getting into acting training, to my first film and it working out. It was literally, so like I said, time just kind of, I think it was about time that I was introduced to what I always thought I would never do, but turned out to be my calling.
Destiny had its
Yeah.
నాకు మీరు బాగా నచ్చేశారు, మీ అరుపులు తప్ప.
గారన్నాక చిల్లు మనిషి అన్నాక లోపల ఉండవా, అల్లం పత్రం వేసుకు కవర్ చేసేయాలంతే.
ఒకసారి ఒక పర్సన్ కలిసిన తర్వాత తనే రైట్ పర్సన్ అని ఎలా డిసైడ్ చేసుకుంటారు అసలు?
మీరు గోంగూర ఎండబెట్టి వేయిస్తారా, తాలింపులో వేయిస్తారా?
గోంగూర గోలేంట్రా,